can be with an indie, can be with a 2-bit online service, it doesn't really matter, then we will then present you with the opportunity to leave Dead Famous and come on board for a 3-year long form deal with a 2-year option at NPM. And so let's talk about the higher level of what happens when you get to NPM, in context to what I just said about what My Chemical Romance did with their indie release and then moving on to their major. And I want to talk about my flagship, my number one, Samantha Lombardi, and some of the things that I feel about her at the moment, which only came about as we've evolved and as our relationship has also evolved and has tightened over the course of the last 2 years. When we first started down the road of recording Samantha's first album, which was entitled Take Your Pick, and being so young, we signed her at 14. She's now 16 and turning 17 in August of this year. We felt we needed to make an impact. We needed to show the largest marketplace in the world, being the American marketplace, that we could take a local, girl with a lot of talent, with a lot of natural appeal, and we could make her something special. And just like anything else, because the songwriting was at its embryonic stage, we had to bring in a lot of material from overseas. So we went down the road of using my connections and getting in touch with publishers and writers and producers and other musicians and saying, hey, what have you got? Have you got anything that you deem suitable for Samantha to record or to demo it in the initial stages? And then as that was going on, we realised, because I was collaborating so closely with Sam on her songwriting, that she was getting better and better, particularly lyric and melody. She still wasn't playing guitar so much, so her musical ability hadn't really come to the fore at this stage. And as that happened, and she became more proficient in the songwriting area, more proficient than any young writer I know, we realised that the material that we were, in fact, trying to create for this album was probably a little bit too young in its skew for us. So we evolved and we started contacting harder hitting producers and writers and artists and saying, hey, what have you got? We're looking for something with a little bit more dimension to it, that's a bit more three-dimensional rather than single radio kind of friendly stuff. And I don't want to go into specific details about specific people because that's not important. What I do want to say is that by doing that, it gave her greater confidence to continue down the songwriting track, and as a result the material that came out got better and better and better. And so eventually we came to a point where we demoed some 25, 30 songs, and we had to get down to choosing a track list, and we got down to basically 15 songs, which then became 12. And it was a composite of some original tracks co-written by Samantha and myself, and collaborations with Andreas Mood, who became the actual physical producer of the album in Stockholm, Sweden, and a kind of a mix of really, really strong outside tracks. But we did it because we wanted to somewhat satisfy that mass audience. So we needed stuff that was radio friendly, and songs like Do You and Young and Stupid and Happy and whatnot. Those songs fit very, very well within that classic sort of American CHR contemporary hit radio format. And so that we got the record, out, and we had a number of major deal offers and a lot of money and relocation opportunities thrown at us based on just the demos, really. Nothing had really been completely produced. All the vocals were done here in Australia, and all the productions were done predominantly all over the world, different people in different places. So we got down to the all-important decision of saying, hey, we're going to go down this local road and try and fit into the local framework at 14 when we can't gig because she's, too young to go into, playing live in venues because of the whole underage limit and whatnot. And if that's the case, then why do we really need to sort of become something major here at home? We decided to concentrate on a much larger market, and we chose America as the largest market you possibly could. And so we needed to gear the album very much towards that marketplace, which is what we did. And we did well. So now we got to the point where instead of going down the road of potentially doing a deal with a major, and again we don't need to mention names because they're not important, we decided at that same time we were being approached by some younger companies that didn't necessarily have a great deal of track record but had belief. And there we are, there's the magic word again when I started this kind of radio, this personal diary. That there's that all-important word again, belief. And this particular individual in Florida, USA, believed in us and said, look, I can put a record together for you. I can make it more than a standard record. We can enhance it. We can put video on it. We can put, you know, a personalized diary, which we're calling Generation Next, this is all going to be part of it. You know, it's been produced by one of the dead famous team members, Campbell McPhee, who's directing, you know, something that's, I hope, is going to make a big impact as far as young and upcoming bands and the way that the business is looked at and the way that it's approached. And we thought that it was a good idea, and so we went out and we released this enhanced CD format quite with a bit of hoo-ha in December 15th, 2005, and it's been quietly and slowly gathering momentum. A lot of internet sites have picked us up. We've just done deals with companies like My Coke, which is part of the whole mainstay Coke brand. Their licensing partner is none other than Fresh Tracks Music. We're involved with MusicSupervisor.com. We licensed all the stuff to MTV and VH1, and the list goes on and on and on. And again, that's not really that important. So now we've come to the point of what we call the new album, the second venture back into the marketplace. To take other people's ideas musically and lyrically, melodically, and make something great out of it as a producer, then you're only as good as the last record you create. So if you continue to strive beyond where you started, and you're always getting better and better at your craft, and you're learning how to streamline the process, and you're learning how to get your hands dirty and take risks so that your product ultimately that comes out every time is going to be bigger and better.